Welcome back to another episode of SmoothBrainEDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. Happy Duskmourn release weekend, everyone. I hope you're ready for more spooky Duskmourn commanders. First up is Jason on Arabella Abandoned Doll. Our patron Robbo gave us this token's aggro list looking to turn Arabella sideways and burn out the opponents. Next up is Matt on Aminatou, Veil Piercer. Aminatou is back with more top deck manipulation and miracle shenanigans, but this time she's cheating out massive enchantments. Third up is Chandler on Kona, Rescue Beastie. Don't mind the creepy mask, she's just here to show you her friends. Her big, green, stompy friends. Finally, it's Sam on Zimone, Mystery Unraveler. This deck is combining Landfall and Manifest Dread to create a small army that turns into massive threats. We're about to hop right into the game, and I know it's a cliche to ask, but legitimately, only 25% of our viewers are subscribed. If you love our content and want to support subscribing, commenting, turning on notifications, they're all impactful ways to support the channel for free. We also have our links to our social media, public Discord server, Decklists, and Patreon in the description. We are proudly partnered with Dragon Shield. Check out our affiliate link in the description if you are looking to pick up any sleeves, deck boxes, or playmats. Use the code SMOOTH5 at checkout for 5% off your order. We are also partnered with Inked Gaming. Our affiliate link is also in the description if you are looking to pick up any custom playmats. Now, on to the gameplay.
It looks like Sam wins the die roll. He'll start off with a basic forest and pass to Jason, who does the same thing, but with the plains. Matt will play Undercity Sewers and leave his Surveil on top, and then Chandler plays Mosswort Bridge and hides away a card. Let's go back to Sam's turn. He'll play Obero and then cast Inquisitive Bookworm and then pass to Jason, who will get his ramp on with another plains and then an Iron Mirror, and then he'll pass to Matt, who also gets in on the ramp plan. He'll play a basic island and then cast his Talisman of Hierarchy and then pass to Chandler, who's playing mono green, so obviously he's in on the ramp plan too. He'll play a forest and then a 3 visits. He'll find a forest and pass while searching. Sam will start off with another forest, and then he'll cast Arcane Signet, and then he'll tap for an additional 2 to cast Trail of Mystery. And I apologize for the glare, Sam will fix it here in a bit. On to Jason's turn now. He'll play another Plains, and then he'll cast a Felwar Stone. Then he'll tap for 3 and cast Adeline, and then pass to Matt. Matt will shotgun a Hollowed Fountain, then cast his commander, Aminatou. He'll then pass to Chandler, who plays another forest, then he'll tap for 4 and cast his commander, Kona. And then the turn is passed to Sam, who will start off by casting Zimone. He'll then play Yavimaya's land for turn, which triggers landfall, so he gets to Manifest Dread, which means he gets to look at the top 2 cards of his library, put one face down as a 2/2, and one into his graveyard. It's a Beast Within this time. This also triggers Trail of Mystery, which gets him an island to his hand. The turn is then passed to Jason, who starts off with Arabella, and then with her help, he's able to convoke out Benjamin Brax. He'll play Valakut Stoneforge's land for turn, and then move to combat, and Adeline goes at Chandler. Attack trigger will make a 1/1 going at everybody. Everyone blocks their 1/1s, and then Chandler will take 7. Jason will then pass the turn and draw an end step thanks to Benjamin. On Matt's upkeep, he gets to Surveil 2, and nothing is put into the bin. He will then draw the first card and reveal an Archetype of Imagination to Miracle. So yeah, that was just a 2 mana, all mine have flying, you know have flying. Anyways, continuing on, Matt will play a Flooded Strand as land for turn, and fetch for a Shadowy Backstreet. Surveil stays on top. He'll then cast his Orzhov Signet, and then pass the turn to Chandler, who will start off with a Survivor's Encampment as land for turn. Then he'll tap for 3 and cast Kodama's Reach, and he does use the encampment to tap Kona. The Reach will get him 2 forests, one to the battlefield tapped and one to his hand, and then he'll attempt to move to second main. There are no responses, so Kona will trigger, and Chandler will put in Portal to Phyrexia. As the wise Jason once said, one-sided show and tell is pretty good. So, yeah, ETB trigger, each of his opponents sacrifice 3 creatures. The only thing that remains is Adeline. The turn is then passed to Sam, and he'll start off with a Glitch Interpreter. He's got no face-down cards, so it bounces back to his hand, and he'll Manifest Dread, Beast Whisperer to the yard. His trio will also get another island to his hand, and then he'll play one as land for turn. And then he'll cast Secret Plans and pass the turn to Jason, who starts off with an Arcane Signet. Then he'll cast a Welcoming Vampire. He'll then move to combat and swing Adeline over at Sam. 1/1s abound. Jason draws a card off the Vampire, then Sam will block the 1/1 and take 5, and Chandler and Matt both take 1. The turn is then passed to Matt, and we'll see Aminatou hit the field again. We'll then see Rafine's Tower as land for turn, and then the turn is passed to Chandler. Upkeep trigger. We all know what he's reanimating with Portal to Phyrexia. It's Archetype of Imagination. After this, Chandler will play Nykthos as land for turn, and then he'll tap for 3 and cast Elemental Bond. After this, he'll move to combat and swing 4 in the air at Jason, who takes his 4 commander damage. Post-combat survival trigger will put O'Hare Kaslam on the field. Elemental Bond draw. And then the turn is passed to Sam, and he'll start off with a Seedborn Muse, and then just pass the turn. Our untap. Jason will start off by tapping for 4 and casting Purphoros, God of the Forge. Ooh, that's scary. He'll then move to combat, and Matt is the safest to swing at, so Adeline goes there. He'll make 3 1/1s, also going at everybody, and this triggers Perforos 3 times. Also, there's a draw from the vampire. On to blocks now, everyone will block their 1/1s, and then Matt will take 7 from Adeline. Post-combat, Jason will play a Battlefield Forge, and then pass to Matt. And Matt will Surveil 2 on his upkeep, and put a Vault of Champions into the graveyard. Then the other card that he left on top is Boon of the Spirit Realm, which, when he draws, is miracled for a measly 2 white mana. It enters with a counter, and then after this, Matt will tap for 5 and cast Overlord of the Flood Pits. When it enters, the boon will get another counter, and then Matt will draw 2 and discard 1. And said discard is a Felwar Stone. Matt will then pass the turn, but Jason and Chandler both stop on end step. Technically, Chandler has priority first, but Jason just went ahead and showed an untimely malfunction to destroy Portal to Phyrexia. And Chandler will activate Mosswar Bridge to recast Archetype of Endurance. So yeah, all that happens, and Chandler also draws a card off his Elemental Bond. Now let's move to Chandler's turn, where he'll start off with a Holdout Settlement as land for turn. Then he moves straight to combat. Green Archetype goes at Jason, Green O'Hare goes at Sam, and Kona goes over to Matt. And thanks to Blue Archetype, nobody can really do anything about this, so they take their damage. And there's an O'Hare trigger from connecting. Chandler gets to look at the top 6 cards of his library and put a creature and or land onto the battlefield. Creature is an excellent new card in Vaultborn Tyrant, and land is Plaza of Heroes. And when the Vaultborn Tyrant enters, Chandler will draw 2 and gain 3. Post-combat, Kona will trigger and Chandler puts in Fear of Exposure. On ETB, he'll draw 2 and gain another 3. Then activate Nykthos to float 9 green mana, and he will use 8 of it to slam Last March of the Ents. So he'll draw 6 and put any number of creatures from his hand onto the battlefield. Those creatures are Vorinclex Voice of Hunger, Eternal Witness, Sakura Tribelder, and a Jaspara Sentinel. Vorinclex will get him another Vaultborn and Elemental Bond trigger, and Eternal Witness gets back the Portal. Then he'll use his last floating mana to cast Elvish Mystic and then pass the turn to Sam, who stays on end step to pay 5 mana to his face down card and flip Eudora Gravegardener. Vorinclex triggers on his lands, and then we'll move to his turn, where his lands do not untap, and then he'll play a tapped Breeding Pool and pass, where Seedborn Muse will flip the bird to Vorinclex. Jason will then tap a plains to cast Glimmer Lens, Klex trigger, and the lens is for Mirrodin. And there's also a Perforos trigger. Jason will then play a basic mountain as land for turn, and then recast Arabella, couple of Klex triggers. And then the turn is passed to Matt. Surveil on upkeep puts both to the bin, and Blind Miracle gets there with a Demon of Fate's design for only 2 black. Vorinclex triggers, and this card's good, but not when you're at 17 life. Matt will then move to combat and swing an 8/5 Blue Overlord over at Chandler. Attack trigger, he'll draw 2 and discard 1, and Chandler chumps with Jaspara Sentinel. Post-combat, Matt taps for 3 and casts Palantir of Orthanc, only 1 Klex trigger. And then Matt will move to his end step and the Palantir will trigger. He scries 2 to the top and targets Chandler, who has him mill a Halimar Depths. Chandler will start off by activating Nykthos again, and this floats him 15 mana. And he'll use some of it to cast Portal to Phyrexia. Yes, he only uses 7 mana. No, it doesn't matter on this board. That resolves, so each of his opponents have to sacrifice 3 creatures again. After that happens, he'll use 3 mana to cast Tyvar the Pummeler. This also resolves. With the combination of Vorinclex's extra mana and the floating mana he already has, he can activate Tyvar's pump ability 3 times. With Vorinclex being his biggest creature, the first one resolving would give everything +7/+7. Then the next one would give everything +14/+14, and then the third one would give everything another +21/+21. So with everything getting +42/+42 and Archetype of Imagination giving everything flying, Chandler just turns his entire board sideways and the table agrees, yeah, that's good enough, that's game. That makes Chandler and Kona the winners. Alright guys, take it from me, Chandler, that was an awesome game. But everyone at the table came to a unanimous agreement. That game was a little too short, so you're all in luck. We recorded a second one. What you're seeing on screen right now is everyone's hands from this second game. So I'll give it another second, and let's get into it. Oh, looks like everyone's in different spots now. And I guess Sam is just the die-rolling master today, because he goes first again. He'll play Fabled Passage, and he will eventually, at some point in this turn order, fetch for a forest. He likes fetching at random times, because he's goofy. Anyways, Matt's turn will see a Meticulous Archive, and Surveil stays on top. He passes to Jason, who plays a Sunbaked Canyon, and passes to Chandler, who will play a forest and have a great top deck in Finhorn Elves. He'll pass to Sam, who plays an island and casts Sol Ring, and then passes to Matt, who plays Command Tower and passes. Jason will play a Plains and then tap for 2 and cast Arcane Signet, and he takes a damage from his Canyon. He'll then pass to Chandler, who will play another basic forest, and then he'll cast Emerald Medallion. This will then allow him to cast a Rampant Growth for only 1 green mana. This finds him a tapped forest to the field, and then he'll pass to Sam, who starts off with Zimone. He'll then play Rejuvenating Springs. Landfall trigger will have him Manifest Dread. So he gets his 2/2 and Deathmist Raptor goes to the yard. He'll then pass the turn to Matt, who starts off with Gloom Lake Verge. We'll then see the Palantir hit the field again, and then he moves to his end step. He'll put 1 to the bottom, and then he targets Chandler again, who has him mill. It's Dimir Signet, so he'll lose 2 life. We'll then move to Jason's turn, where he starts off with a War Room as land for turn. He'll then cast a Staff of the Storyteller, which creates a 1/1 spirit token on ETB and gets a counter. He'll then tap for another 2 and cast Arabella, and then pass to Chandler, who starts off by casting Kona for only 3 mana. He'll then play Survivor's Encampment as land for turn, and then cast Lava Spur Boots. He'll equip Kona with said boots, and then move to combat. 5 Commander is swung over at Matt, who just has to take it. Then post-combat, Kona will trigger for being tapped, and we see that darn pesky Vaultborn Tyrant again. Also, dear god, this is turn 3. Anyways, ETB trigger, Chandler will draw and gain. The rest of the table correctly agrees that is currently the problem. Chandler will pass the turn, and Matt asks Sam if he can get rid of it the first time because he can get rid of it the second time. And Sam says probably. But first, he's going to cast Under the Skin. He'll Manifest Dread and put an island to the graveyard, then return Fabled Passage to his hand. He'll then play the said Fabled Passage and Manifest Dread. Island to the yard. He'll then fetch for a forest, and as per Zimone's rules, he gets to turn a face-down card face up. He reveals Arcane Signet. He'll then tap for 2 and cast a Nature's Lore, and this will find him a Hedge Maze, which triggers Zimone, which will flip a forest. Surveil stays on top, and then he'll tap for 3 and Beast Within the Vaultborn Tyrant. Since it was non-token, when it dies, Chandler gets to make a token copy of it, and a 3/3, and he draws and gains. Sam then remembers, oh yeah, Deathmist Raptor should have come back, so he'll return it to the battlefield face up, and then pass the turn to Matt, who will immediately play a Plains and slam a Damnation. Board gone, Matt pass, Palantir trigger. Scries stay on top, Sam is target. Sam says draw. Let's go to Jason's turn now. He'll start by drawing off of his Staff of the Storyteller. Then he'll cast an Esper Sentinel, then an Idol of Oblivion, and then he'll pass the turn to Chandler, who will start off with a Shifting Woodland as land for turn, and then he'll tap for 5 and recast Kona, and pass to Sam. Sam will start his turn off with a Curator Beastie. It'll Manifest Dread upon ETB, and Growth Spiral goes to the graveyard. And thanks to the Beastie, the Manifest will enter with 2 1/1 counters. Sam will then play a basic forest, and then just pass the turn to Matt, who starts off with an untapped Godless Shrine. Then he'll cast an Orzhov Signet, 1 not paid, and then Aminatou. He'll then pass the turn, and he'll scry 2 to the top on instep and target Jason. Jason says mill 3, so Matt mills a land, Portent, and a Zoria Signet, and Jason will lose 3 life, and then move to his turn. He'll play a basic Plains, then cast Razorkin Needlehead, and then Delny. After this, he'll move to combat and swing for 1 unblockable at Sam, and then he'll pass the turn to Chandler. Thanks to Needle Guy and Delny, Chandler takes 2 on draw step, and then he'll equip Kona with the Lava Spur Boots. After this, he'll tap for 3 and cast Tribute to the World Tree, and thanks to Delny, Esper Sentinel triggers twice. Chandler will pay for 1 of them, so Jason will draw 1 card. After this, Chandler moves to combat and swings for 5 Commander at Matt again. Matt will not block it, so he takes 5 more Commander, and then Chandler will move to his second main phase, and his Commander will trigger. He puts in Galta Stampede Tyrant. Couple of ETB triggers. He resolves Tribute to the World Tree first and draws a card. Then he will resolve Galta's trigger, where he puts in Titan of Industry and Kogla the Titan Ape. More ETB triggers. First, Kogla will fight Delny, and then the Titan of Industry will destroy the Palantir and create a 4/4. And he'll draw a total of 3 cards off the Tribute. He'll then play a basic forest as land for turn, and then the turn is passed to Sam. He'll start off with a basic island, and after a quick count, he sees he has 11 mana. So he's going to tap out, and slam Vel'Gavoth's Onslaught. X is 5. Jason gets an Esper Sentinel draw, but he's going to Manifest Dread 5 times, and then they'll all get a total of 7 counters between the Onslaught and his Beastie. And in case it matters, Broker's Hideout, Cathartic Parting, Ugin's Mastery, Inox Survivalist, and Otawara are what goes to the graveyard. Sam will then move to combat, and he swings his Beastie over at Jason for 6, and upon attacking, he'll Manifest Dread. Mirror Room goes to the yard, and it gets 2 counters, then Jason will take 6. The turn is then passed to Matt. He'll Surveil 2 on upkeep and put an Opt into his graveyard and keep 1 on top. It's not an enchantment though, so no miracle. He'll then bolt himself by playing an untapped Soporific Springs, and then he casts OG Aminatou. She's upticked, so he'll draw a card and then put 1 back. and then he'll pass the turn to Jason. Oh boy, they really need to find some way to deal with this. Jason has 2 3-mana board wipes in his deck, so he is going to cast 4th Aerolingus X1 to make it 2/2, and then dig by activating his Idol of Oblivion. The Staff of the Storyteller will also get a counter, and he'll draw using it too. Well, he doesn't find anything, so he'll just cast Lightning Greaves and pass to Chandler, who starts off with a Scavenger Grounds as land for turn. Then he'll tap for 6, and he'll use his Survivor's Encampment to tap Kona, and then he'll cast Shriekwood Devourer. When it enters, he'll draw a card, then he'll move to combat and swing Kogla over at Jason. Devourer untaps 6 lands, Kogla destroys Lightning Greaves, and no blocks. Post-combat, there's a Kona trigger, and he puts in a forest. And then he'll pass. Sam then decides it's time to start poking people. He'll start by swinging 3 9/9s at Chandler, his 2 4/4s over at Jason, and the Curator Beastie goes over to Matt. Attack trigger burns his Dread, so he gets another 4/4, and Cursed Windbreaker will go to the yard. Moving to blocks, Matt and Jason do not. Chandler declares Galta, blocking the middle 9/9, his 4/4 Beast token blocking the left one, and he does not block the right one. Moving to damage now, a couple creatures will die, and a few people take damage. The face-down card that Galta kills is a Hedge Shredder. Then, if you didn't think Sam was far enough ahead, he decides to drop an Azuri's Predation. And he does pay the 1. Matt decides to respond with a Consider. 1 not paid, he'll leave the Surveil on top and reveal to Miracle, Extravagant Replication, and he'll cast it for 2 mana. Then Azuri's Predation resolves, and Sam will make 9 4/4 beasts that fight everything, and he pretty much deals with Jason and Matt's entire board. All of Chandler's creatures that get fought will kill the beasts, but Kona and Galta will also die. Sam is left with 4 4/4 beasts from this too. And then the turn is passed to Matt. Extravagant Replication will make another Signet, then he'll play an Undercity Sewers and Surveil Sea of Clouds to the graveyard. He'll then recast Aminatou, then uptick other Natu to draw a card and put 1 back. He'll then play a Scroll Rack and then pass the turn to Jason, who starts off by casting an Offspringing Agate Instigator. When the second one enters, the first one will trigger, dealing 1 to everybody. Staff of the Storyteller will get a counter, and then he'll activate Idol of Oblivion to draw a card. Then he'll activate the staff to draw another. He'll then convoke out Benny Brax and pass the turn to Chandler. Then he'll draw a card on the instep. Chandler starts off by recasting Kona, Tribute trigger, and then they're tapped by floating a green off Survivor's Encampment, and that 1 mana is used to equip Kogla with Boots. He'll then move to a second main phase. Let's see this Kona trigger. It's a Springleaf Drum. Huge. Now on to Sam's turn. He'll start off with a Forgotten Cellar, which will let him recast Under the Skin from his graveyard, so he'll manifest Dread, and it looks like he doesn't return anything to his hand. After this, he'll play a Command Tower as land for turn, and then cast the Hedge Shredder from his graveyard. Now, Sam's in a really good position and could potentially kill a couple players this turn, but due to the lack of trample and the amount of blockers on the field, he's unable to kill all 3 of his opponents. He's worried about board wipes from Matt and Jason, and a big crackback from Chandler if he top decks well. Ultimately though, he decides to move to combat and swing 2 9/9s and 2 4/4s at both Matt and Jason, and also the Curator Beastie at Jason. He'll manifest Dread off his Curator Beastie, and then both Matt and Jason don't have any responses and can't block enough to survive, so they are dead here. And after manifesting Dread, Sam is left with 20 toughness to block with, so even if Chandler top decks a hoof effect, Sam's probably still in the green. Sam will then pass the turn to Chandler. Let's see what his top card is. It's freaking Zapandrel, the Hunger Dominus. Okay, let's see if this does anything. It'll draw Chandler a card on ETB, and then Chandler will pay 1 to move the boots over to it, so it gets haste. He'll then move to combat. Powers and toughnesses will double, and then he flunges at Sam because math is for blockers. Okay, that's not untrue. He counts out 42 trample damage and 16 non-trample damage. Okay, now math is for blockers. Sam will start off by putting 2 4/4s under the 2 non-trample 8 power creatures. Then he'll put his remaining 12 toughness under the 42 trample and take 30, surviving at 6. Chandler also remembers that his Shriekwood Devourer essentially untaps all of his lands. Then post-combat, he'll drop a Bane of Progress, which really doesn't do anything. Because now we're going to move to Sam's turn, where he'll pay mana to flip a Shia, and then he'll swing for lethal at Chandler and win the game. Chandler shows that he can activate Shifting Woodland, but even the extra blocker doesn't matter, making Sam and Zimone the winners of Game 2. Congratulations. Alright, welcome to the official end of the video. Sorry guys, no Game 3. That was a prime example of an arch-enemy game where someone pulls ahead. Unfortunately, the other 3 players weren't able to catch up. And Sam won in the end. But if you enjoyed those games, guys, please let us know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, check out all of our links. And please subscribe. But that's enough out of me for today. I hope you all have a smooth day.